This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Today, we are sitting down with Travis and Melanie, President and Vice President of Escapees RV Club. They're going to walk us through the beginnings of the company, starting way back with a newsletter that Travis's grandparents put together. Since then, Escapees has grown into an RV club that can help you with mail service, setting up a state domicile, hands-on RV training courses, and much more. So let's jump into the conversation and find out more about this extremely helpful RV club.
Hi, Travis and Melanie. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Wheel. And to get started, could you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and your path to leading the Escapees organization?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on the show. We're really excited. And we're excited for the opportunity to be talking about the club and ourselves.
Yep. Yeah. So my path with Escapees has been, I guess you could say, lifelong. My grandparents, Joe and Kay Peterson, actually founded the club. And then my parents, Bud and Kathy, became president and vice president after them. So you could say that it's kind of been my path and set path for pretty much my entire life. So
yeah. And then I was introduced to the lifestyle, obviously, through his family. I grew up traveling the world. Like, my dad would build up all his vacation time. He was a police officer. And then we'd take a 3 to 4 week vacation every summer and just travel the world. We went international. We traveled to almost every state when I was a child. So that's always been a passion for me, is exploring new places. And then me and Travis have been together forever. I was 14 when we started dating, and he joined the military about a year after we were dating. And I would travel with his parents to Fort Benning in their RV. So it's something that I got introduced to early and kind of thought, wow, this is interesting. You know, it's a hotel on the road, basically. But for many people, obviously, it's their life and their home.
Yeah. And then when I got out of the military in 2010, we started working for the club. Early 2011 is when we started both working full time for the organization and got back involved. And we started off really basic. I was mowing lawns and weed eating and, doing all the grunt work at our Livingston headquarters. And Mel was doing... I
started the Facebook pages because our company was way in the past, like technology-wise. So yeah. I started the Facebook page, the Instagram page, started bringing on that social media presence and small things like that. But things that eventually took the club into the modern times.
And then, pretty much my parents and started trusting us more. And then eventually we... 3 years ago, 2016, I think, we became president and vice president of the organization.
Wow, you went from mowing lawns in 2010.
There was a few stuff in between.
Before we became president and vice president, a little more background is really Travis started working for the park side of the company, and that's when we got our first RV. It was a little Class C, and our son was 1 year old. He was tasked of installing reservation systems because, like we said, everything was in the past. So we took on all these little tasks that brought the company to where it should be in the modern day and age. But that was really when the RVing side of it clicked for us, and we became really passionate about it and thought, this is really where we want to spend our career, and we do want to be a bigger part of the organization. And then between there and the point that we became president and vice president is when we started Escapers, which was really our passion and our reason for being involved in
which I'm sure we'll go into more detail as we move along in our conversations. That's a whole story in itself. But
yeah, and that I was just at your Escapers bash, and there's a lot of people there. So that's quite a popular club. So yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that.
So Escapees actually started further back than I realized. I thought it was started with your parents, but you said your grandparents. So what year did Escapees start out?
My grandparents founded the club in 1978, July 4th, fitting enough. Back then, there was no technology, no way to communicate easily, snail mail. There was no way to get people together. And the club was really just created so people could communicate with each other. It started out with a newsletter that my grandma put together and pretty much hand wrote at the time, and would collect these these messages back and forth between members of the club. And then they started holding little rallies, which turned into Escapade, which is now our biggest national rally of the year that we have. But it was really, they had no grand vision of what it is today at all. It kind of just happened for them, really out of just bringing community together. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Just
And
connecting.
that's the really the roots of our club, and what makes us so special is the community. We have a lot of services and benefits that we'll probably touch on a little bit, but it's really people come and join for those. And then once they inject themselves in the community is when they really stick around and realize there's a bigger piece to being on the road, and you can be part of a family too.
And it's now a pretty large organization with, like you said, many branches and clubs, RV parks, mail service, just lots of depth to the Escapees. How many full-time people does it take to run the organization now?
We've definitely grown over 41 years for sure. Right now, I think we have we have several different sections. Like I said, we have our national headquarters, which is our office, which runs the mail service and all the club activities. There on site, we have about 55 employees or so. A majority of them run the mail service, the call center, and things like
Filing, packaging mail. Yeah. And so we have those employees that help run the mail service and those customer service pieces that we have. And then we have our staff that is kind of our main little group, which is our magazine department, our IT department, our CEO and our COO are in the office. We have a lot of our marketing staff is remote. We have a social media team. So we have all those pieces. And then we also have our park side, because we own and operate 7 Escapees parks. So we have people, we have managers
about another
running
20 people
and
there.
then we have managers that rotate between the campgrounds.
Oh.
And then we have a lot of remote staff that run like our Escapade event, which is our big annual event. We have JP who runs the convergences for us. So we're kind of scattered all over the place being an RV club, but yeah.
So we're still relatively small in comparison for what we do. Because like I said, a lot of that work is, the hands-on work, doing the mail and the
all in all, we probably have about 100 employees, if not a little more. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I think that sounds like a lot too. You had mentioned the mail service, and originally the Escapees group was formed to get people together and things like that. At what year or what time point did it kind of change and turn into like the mail service and the domicile services?
Yeah, so that all for, I would say, the first 10 years or so, it really was centered around the newsletter, which became a magazine, a full-blown magazine at that point. More educational articles got involved, and rallies were happening. Pretty common, several throughout the year. In the 80s, when my mom got really involved, and, when she was a kid at the time when
she was full-time RVing.
Yeah, with my grandparents at the time. So when she got, to be an adult, she kind of got really involved, obviously, in the operations. And so about, I want to say,
it was in the 80s,
88 or so, I want to say, is when the mail service was actually created, which my mom kind of head up and did all that organization and operations management of that. Was kind of basically her main job at the point in time. So.
Yeah. She started a lot of those services that really catered to the full-time RVer. And then when she married Travis's dad and he became involved in the organization is when he started the parking system, and he was out there, putting the shovel to the dirt and building the campgrounds along with many, many volunteers in the organization. So a lot of that took off in the 80s, early 90s, and it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, so I think and one important aspect of why we talk about mail service, parks, and all that is the club really at first, especially, was really catered to full-time RVers. We're pretty much known as the club who is for RV enthusiasts. So the club really did a lot for full-time RVers. So the parks were really to provide a home base, to give people a place to meet up with their other fellow members and have a place, to call home and rest for a bit. And the mail service for the same way. So people could have a domicile and a way to get their mail, because it's not that easy when you don't have a house anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sabrina and I use you guys for both those reasons, the Escapees mail and the domicile. And I guess your mom realized that this was an issue because once she went full-time, and she probably saw this as a immediate issue. That's great that she, had that drive to put this together to help other people.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Is that how people initially find escapees? Is that where you draw your largest crowds in the start out?
I would say yes, it is the largest benefit that we have. We have around 11,000 members in there. So it really is how a lot of people find us and get into the club. For so long, this whole, our marketing department is still a fairly new thing just within the past couple of years for the company. A lot of where our referrals and how people join us is word of mouth. People, whether it's sharing about the mail service, the community, or events. But yeah, I would say that for sure the mail service is the biggest driving force.
It's a third of our membership utilizes it, so it's definitely a big component of the club.
Yeah.
So there's 11,000 people using just the mail service, or there's 11,000 members total?
No, there's 11,000 memberships using the mail service. We have around, we're just about to hit the 34,000 membership mark, which equates to, because those are families, so it equates to around 65,000 members right now.
Wow.
And that's something that has been significantly growing for us, and our membership is at the highest it's been in a long, long time. Yeah.
Julie and I do RV seminars, around the country for different organizations. When we talk about long-term travel, we have a whole presentation on long-term travel, and we always mention escapees for the mail service and for the great information that you guys put out on domicile.
We'll appreciate that. Yeah, we try hard. We have some really good team members who are really experienced in all that when it comes to domicile too. Sean Loring, our CEO, now he came on board about 3 years ago now. He's been a longtime partner with the club who actually ran the firm who did all the education and the consultations on domicile. He's an attorney.
Yeah, and we're still partnered with the same company.
With the same company,
it's just you talk to somebody else other than Sean.
Yeah, I remember hearing his presentation at the RV Entrepreneur Summit last year.
You guys bring in a large spectrum of age groups. Like when Sabrina and I go to different campgrounds and rallies and all that, everybody that we talk to seems to be part of escapers or escapees or escapers or both. So what is your demographic as far as age group? Is it really just all across the spectrum?
It really is. I mean, we have people from our 20s all the way into their 90s. We will ask sometimes at our escapade ages, and then there will be like an 80-something or 90-year-old person in the audience still driving their RV
which is a little scary sometimes. But
truly, and a lot of our older demographics have been in the club since the beginning. We still meet people with very low escapees numbers because we don't recycle those, so it's always fun to see who has the lowest number at our events.
But I would say there has been a circle kind of happened with the club when it was created. In the 70s, it was a very diverse group at that time. I think about 50% were working on the road full time, which surprises a ton of people. About 9 of them of the first 100 have families full time on the road. So there was this kind of transition that happened. And later, several years down the road, that same core membership kind of grew with the club. And that was something we kind of tackled back when we launched Escapers and kind of early, 2010 timeframe is where we really wanted to focus on diversifying those demographics and not just being a club for, the retired RVer. Because that's not what the club was always. It was never about that. It was always meant to be a support network for any RVer, all RVers, regardless of age and what you're doing. So we really brought that back when we introduced Escapers in 2015. And that has created a huge full circle for us. It has brought back those younger demographics, introduced them back into the organization of escapees. And it didn't used to always be a super diverse as it is today. And that diversity keeps growing, it seems.
What were the statistics before we launched Escapers? It was over 85% of our club was over the age of 65 and retired.
Wow.
And significantly shifted that.
Yeah.
And that was when we realized, this is a serious problem. When we were doing our surveys, doing all that research, and we were like, Travis and I were on the road too, and we had our son with us, and we'd be in campgrounds, and we'd be like, oh, there's young people, and or we'd meet somebody that we would meet on Instagram, because we had an Airstream back then too, before we launched Escapers. So we were all in that little community they have going on, and they would love meeting up. So we were catching up with some people on the road and be like, oh yeah, well, we actually work with this club called Escapees. Have you ever heard of it? And they're like, oh yeah, like you guys don't have anything for us because you're old and retired, you know? And we're like, wow, that's a huge problem because we're like, we're Escapees. And, you know, and outside of our roles, you know, it's like, we have a lot of stuff. We think we're pretty cool.
How much of social media played a part in getting to a younger demographic, do you feel? When did you guys start launching like the Facebook, the Instagram, and all of your social media stuff?
It took a while to get that off the ground, I'd say. Like, it was pretty slow going at first just because I think the RV industry as a whole is kind of behind on social media. So back when I started those pages, it didn't seem like it got a whole lot of traction. And then, like I said, when we brought in help with our marketing department and they really took it to the next level, and then trying to find ways to do things that do appeal to the younger demographics was really
the advancements in technology over the past 10 years and the new, you know, social media platforms and how robust they've gotten has definitely made a huge difference in RV lifestyle and accessibility to people. I mean, look, we're talking via conference call with video, you know, and that didn't exist that well, you know, and you couldn't find the connections as easily as you can now. So I think it's just become RVing, the technological advancements has just made it easier today, which has brought a lot more young demographics on the road.
Right now, this year, you know, you look at, we just wrapped up Annual Bash, all the pictures that were shared, all the bloggers that write about what a great time they had. That's key and essential to the growth of our organization. And it's really what we thrive on is that member experience and them helping to share the experience that they had, the positive one.
Yeah, and almost like live tweeting during the event itself.
Exactly. And those things just didn't happen 20 years ago. You just couldn't do that. So it's made a huge impact for sure.
So a big thing for new RVers or those going from part-time to full-time or full-time to boondocking is education. And that's another component of Escapees is the educational benefits that you guys provide to your members. Can you highlight some of those benefits?
Yeah, so a lot of, you know, community's always been our number one priority, but with community comes a lot of education within the group. I think members themselves educate each other a lot, and, you know, coming to rallies and stuff, there's a lot of education that happens there. But we also put on, obviously, specific programs for that. The magazine has been around since the creation of the club, if you want to go back and count it as a newsletter. And it is a bi-monthly magazine just full of articles written by members who are sharing their experience, their knowledge, who have been on the road for some a year, explaining their difficulties, and some 20 years plus. You know, I mean, there's a huge wealth of knowledge within the membership that are sharing through that magazine. And then we also put on several educational programs. We have one called the RVers Boot Camp, which is an in-person 3-day content-heavy course that teaches you all the ins and outs of basically, you know, of maintenance, safety, and the operation of your
That's
RV.
probably our most popular one just because it's hands-on, you know, and in person. It sells out every time we put it on, and people just love the camaraderie of it, the education and everything. So,
and again,
Is that it's 3 days?
Yep.
It's a 3-day course.
Yeah, and we hold those kind of, we do an annual one at our headquarters in Livingston. We do one at Escapade every year, and then we kind of scatter them around the country outside of that where we can find facilities and at our own parks.
And they sell out every time way in advance, which actually led us, again, because technology has helped us out here, is we created the RVOU program, which is basically the boot camp turned into an online format where you still have access to instructors, you can talk to them, but you basically get all the same course material plus some extras at your own pace. So that's a really cool program that we launched in the past year and a half, 2 years, that has done really well with the education side for those that can't make it to in-person events, because, you know, we can't all, especially those of us at work, you know, vacation's not as easy to go spend 3 days somewhere totally out of your way. So outside of that, I mean, we have several little things. I mean, we have the blogs that we do, you know, which is just content out there open to public. There's just a lot of little education things, but those are probably the biggest.
And our rally, the Escapade, it's like a mix. There's a lot of education. There's seminars from like morning to afternoon, and then in the evenings is like social community time, activity, and things like that. So it's a little mix between it, but I would say it's highly educational.
5-day intense.
Yeah. And then we get a lot of people that do boot camp stacked on top of that, and then there's like 8 days of craziness. But yeah.
So the boot camp is like on one of the ends of the thing, it's either at the beginning. Before. Okay. And this year the Escapade is in Tucson, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we go to the Pima County Fairgrounds in Tucson every other year.
Okay.
Good central location, so we've
good
enjoyed going. The
facilities
facility's great. They're great to work with, so it's a good area too.
And is everybody able to join these boot camps? How do they sign up? Are they already members of Escapees, and then they automatically get the privileges?
Yeah, those are kind of like a la carte things that you can add on to your membership. The membership is $39.95 a year, and then we have things like the events, like the Escapade, the boot camp. Those are all just extra fees so that you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go. That's why we keep our membership dues pretty low so that you can still take advantage affordably to all the other things that we have.
The magazine's not an add-on, though.
No.
That comes with your membership. You get that every other month.
We have a lot of online, like the blogs, the education. We have a lot of like a mapping tool online. We have a lot of technology-based things that are just folded into your membership, but all like the events and other things are add-on fees. Yep.
So we can talk a little bit about the subgroups within Escapees. I'm not really sure what they're called. I call them subgroups, but like Julie and I are escapers, and we just, like I said before, we went to the Bash in January and had a great time, even though we couldn't be there for the whole thing. And I heard the speakers were awesome. So
they were great. Yes.
And
yeah, we thank you guys for being there and speaking at the event too. So you guys did an awesome job. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Can you tell us about the different subgroups, including the escapers? Like what are you have them with, they each have like a different focus. So yeah, can you kind of explain that for us?
If you want to count escapers, there are 3 different styles that we have, because escapers is part of your Escapees membership. It's not an add-on fee. Same with all the other groups that we have. So Escapers is the one that it's nationally ran. We hire JP to do the events. We handle all the resources, the website, the education on that side. So that is one in itself, and that is the group that caters towards the working age RVer. And the main perk of that is really the community and the events that we put on. JP's running about 10 to 13 a year. Plus we have the big annual bash that draws the biggest crowd that we have. The difference between that is just that it's nationally run. And then we have the BOF program, which is Birds of a Feather. And those are just like interest-based groups where it could be like off-roading. The boomers have a huge group, and a lot of them,
there's hiking, there's biking, there's religious ones, political ones. It's totally whatever anybody wants to create based off of pretty much a single interest, a similar interest that they can create a group around is what those cater to.
And those are, they're events and their get-togethers. They can take place all over the world. They're not geographically located. Like you said, they're just based off of interest. And then we have our chapters, which are based off of location. So we have one in the...
they're all over.
Yeah, they're all over. So, for example, there's one in the San Diego area, and there's
one in San Antonio, and
they're based in location. So when you're back near your home base, you can go. They do lunches, they do rallies, and things like that. Honestly, there's 40 of them, around 40
close
of them.
To 50, I want to say.
And then the BOFs is just continuously growing. If people have interest that they want to do, they just contact our director and set it up and start meeting people from there.
So there's a little something there for everybody. And those are member ran, those are people who volunteer, who lead these things and get people together, and part of the Escapee spirit.
And then Escapees even has a partnership, I believe, with health insurance for RVers. Can you guys talk a little bit about that, how that got started and what it provides?
Absolutely. So it's one of those things that you have to be a member of the club to get access to. Like a lot of things, like we only get special programs because of our membership in our club base. So that's kind of part of why we have a membership and some of the benefits you get along. Even though there's an add-on fee for this one, like this program, for example, you have to be a club member to be able to get access to these because they're exclusive offers to our membership. But so the program is something we were really been working hard on for, the past 4 or 5 years, pretty much with Create Escapers. We all know that healthcare on the road, especially full-timers, is very difficult to find something affordable and practical to use. So this was one of those things we created or partnered with ITG, International Truckers Group, and our longtime partner over at Freeze and Strain, Theta, who kind of organized this and set up a ACA-compliant healthcare solutions program. Now, it's not a major medical program. I don't want to give the false impression that it is. So it's kind of like it's good for some, and it's not a great solution for others. It's just an alternative to having healthcare on the road that might benefit you. And you can get online, check out all the information. It's very complicated. Healthcare is not my forte.
Yeah,
so
we
I don't
can't
know
really get into the details of it, but we highly recommend that you check it on the website, talk to Theta. The other thing that we have going on the healthcare side of things was our partnership. I'm not sure if you're referring to the healthcare solutions or our partnership with the RV Insurance Exchange. And that is one that we partnered with Kyle Henson, who is a full-time RVer that started that website back in 2015. I want to say it was either before the launch of Escapers or around there. And, like Travis was saying, we see the need for these plans, and that market is ever changing and you just don't know what you're going to get. So having that relationship with somebody who is full-time and understands the wants and needs of RVers, mostly the needs, because it's a necessity, is and
we're different.
Yeah, and everybody's different, so you kind of have to have that specialized care when you're talking about being a full-time RVer. So one perk of that website, what they do is each year they put out a guide for open enrollment, and he goes over the benefits of almost everything that's out there that might be appealing to an RVer, says pros and cons, and kind of digs really deep into that. So that's something we really appreciate, having been able to be a part of it from the beginning.
It's a hot topic definitely in the industry right now for, especially full-timers, like I said, and it's something that we continuously try to seek new options for and provide anything we can to help out. We're not an insurance company, obviously. But
you'd be surprised how much that topic comes up in our own company and trying to find solutions for our members. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and it seems like the rules are changing all the time. So yeah, that's a tough nut to crack right there.
Yeah, and that's another reason we're really proud to be able to offer 3 different domicile options within our own mail services. We have Texas, Florida, South Dakota, and it's not the easiest thing to have to jump around and say, oh, I'm a Texas resident, I want to go to Florida this year. But at least you have that option should we see a lot of people that have switched to Florida. And it's not like a snap your fingers and you're done, but we'd like to say that we simplify the process a little bit and help provide that customer service side of things so that you can make those decisions should it be right for you.
The organization is probably one of the largest representatives of the RV community, particularly on the full-time side. Do you guys do any lobbying or advocacy on behalf of the members and the RV community at large?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually been part of Escapes history for a very long time, and something, again, my mom really took the spearhead on in the 80s and really want to protect the rights for all RVers, not only just members, but all RVers. Now, we don't do lobbying, but we do fight advocacy issues around the nation, especially when it comes to state and legislation impacts. County and local get a little more difficult, one, because there's a many and they vary so much. It's a little hard, but we do really, really focus on advocacy. I mean, we get hits every month, with an issue that we look into and behind the scenes are working on. And we don't necessarily publicize all the time just because there can be complications with doing that as well. But there's a lot of stuff we work on. And for example, my mom in early 2000s went all the way up to Supreme Court protecting the right for RVers to vote using a mail service. So, and she won that. It was a very big battle. So, and something we're very passionate about. We feel that we should protect the rights for RVers, and full-timers have a complication there that we have to look out for. And because that's a big part of our group, obviously we care. So
yeah, and we encourage all members or anybody in the RV community to send issues our way should you see something that you think is going to affect the rights for full-time RVers, because we do work hard behind the scenes on those. And Sean Loring, who is our CEO, is also our advocacy director. So he wears many hats, and he takes care of a lot of fires behind the scenes. And that, like you said, we just don't publicize all of them, but they do come up.
There's actually, if you're interested in that, if for those that are kind of nerdy and like to look at all that stuff, we actually have a tab on the website under the benefits that says RV advocacy, and you can actually look at the whole history timeline of everything we fought and everything we've done. It's pretty interesting if you just take a gander and look at it. It's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Well, I'll definitely take a look at that. I'm curious now. I want to see how people maybe even try to shun us a little bit and see what you guys have done to fight for us. Yeah, that's great. And at the RV Summit last year, the 2018 RV Summit, there was a presentation about domicile and the legalities associated with it. And I believe it was a lawyer that maybe worked with you guys? Do you guys have attorneys on staff that help assist RVers?
Yeah, that was actually Sean Loring. So yeah, he is our CEO.
Okay.
Like Travis said, we have a long history working with him and his father before him on domicile issues. They actually do consultations with our members to help Loring and Associates, and they help you answer those initial questions, go through that process, and find the state that's right for you based off of your personal needs. And right now, if you go through them, you're most likely going to talk to Susie Adams, who is amazing and incredible, and she's done a lot to work in the RVing field.
And that's something they do for our members, really help out. They write several articles. They write an article in each magazine issue. Yeah, actually, if you go to the website, we have so much information on the website. I always try to refer to it when I can. There's a domicile section there under education. It has a ton of articles, all the past article they've written, and all the information, the step-by-step of domicile, what you need to do, like the ins and outs of it. And again, it has the information about Loring Associates in there. So if you're interested and need more information, you can call them. Highly recommend it. They work. They know what they're talking about.
They're actually, their office is in our headquarters in Livingston. So if you ever go through the park and you have questions, you can see them in person.
We'll have to link your website to the show notes of this episode. Make sure everybody can easily get to it through the podcast as well.
Awesome.
There's a lot of information on the website that non-members can take a look at. That's sort of open to the public, I guess. It's not exclusive to members.
Yeah, there's a ton of just good knowledge, just general knowledge that we try to keep public just to help everybody out. There's only so much we can host on there just because you run out of space and where you're going to put it. But there's quite a bit of information on pretty much all the major topics that you can find on the website, either via the blog or the individual, pages under the topics that you're looking for. So.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned the regular membership is $39. What was it? $39.95
annually. Yep.
And I know you guys offer discount memberships to veterans, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you. And can you talk about why you do that and what other groups do you offer discounts to?
So we introduced a veteran discount. Oh, man, that was probably around 2011 or so. And that really just came out of history, something I was really passionate about, being a veteran myself, and my grandparents, both my grandparents were veterans. It's just something we wanted to do as a nod and a gesture, a thank you to some vets. And
actually active duty is free for people who are learning about the lifestyle. Active duty free membership. And the other group that we have a discount for is the full-time families group. We do a membership swap currently where our members can get a 1 free year membership to full-time families, and likewise they can get a free membership to escapees. Those are all kind of on a case-by-case basis, with our partners that we work with. We work out special deals all the time. So it's just kind of ever-changing.
Yeah. And it's such an inexpensive price to begin with for all that you're getting out of the membership. I mean, there's so much you guys offer that it just seems like you could charge a lot more than what you do.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to keep it affordable for the members. Like we said, a lot of the other stuff that we work on is an add-on fee. So we want to make sure that at the end of the day, it's not just stacking up and stacking up.
I was going to say that we really are cautious about, including or charging more, mainly because we don't feel it's right to make people pay for services for other people that they're not using. Yeah. For example, we could include a lot of benefits and charge more, but if you're never going to use that service, why should you have to pay $10 more? You get what I'm saying? Just so we can help other members. So we've really limited the cost to basically you pay for what you get, and if you want something else, we have options for that too.
So like RVOU, we could easily put that into the membership, but not everybody needs that education. Somebody that has already been through boot camp or has been on the road 15 years might not see the value in that. So we want to make sure people are able to choose what's most important to them and take advantage of it appropriately. I mean, on top of it being a low price, we do offer discounts through our partners. We have a tire discount with Goodyear. We have discounts to almost 800 discount parks around the country. And then even if you just stay at a Escapees park, you're going to easily make your money back because the discounts are so significant.
I just had to replace 2 tires, and I bought Goodyears, and I didn't realize Escapees had a discount program for that.
It's that one. You just log in the website. We have like a coupons and discount section, and then they have a little portal that will take you to the Goodyear site, and you can put in your information and see Yeah.
And we have several, small discounts to like Harvest Hosts and Boondockers Welcome and, Mobile Internet Aficionados that Chris and Sheree do. I mean, so we have several other discounts, for other partners that we really enjoy using and believe in.
Wow, yeah, I didn't realize there was that many. I guess I'm going to have to spend more time on the website.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. We're actually in the process of organizing our members' website to be a little easier to find that kind of stuff. So actually, that's a little new news for you that we haven't really announced yet, but coming in the next few months, we'll have a new back-end website for you so you can find stuff easier.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Speaking of new website, so you guys are involved in an awful lot. You're launching new programs and everything all the time. In your own words, what's the most exciting program that you've launched in the last couple years maybe? Or
Man, that's a tough one. Escapers is a little more than a couple years now, but I think it's been a huge, and we're obviously personally invested in it and, something we're passionate about, a little bias there. But I think it's been a huge mechanism for growth for the club and bringing in that community, that all the demographics together. And so I think that's been something huge. But outside of that, I think RVOU has been
RVOU's been great. It's that's a loaded question because we're the past couple of years have been a lot of new services. We're ever growing. We've brought on a map tool online. We're really proud of partnering with a lot of people in the industry. Like Winnebago has been a big piece of the puzzle for us because it's something that's been a dream of mine and Travis's since we came on and heard all these cries of the manufacturers. They don't want to listen to the consumer. So to us being able to work with somebody like that who is a major manufacturer to connect them with our members and provide these opportunities directly and in a meaningful way has been extremely awesome.
There's a lot. We go on and on and on.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
We just talked to Kenny and I just did an interview with one of the directors at Winnebago. We were telling them how much we appreciate that Winnebago actually takes information from customers and non-customers really and takes it to heart and really tries to incorporate that stuff into their RVs. And you don't hear about that very often. It's just awesome what Winnebago is doing as far as customer experience goes.
Yeah, it's not a PR stunt to them. A lot of people can say, yeah, we're listening, take a survey and give us your feedback and we'll take it into consideration. But you see the things that they're listening to and implementing into the RVs.
They tell us what they're,
and they'll say, hey, they'll remember their names and say, hey, remember when they gave us that idea last year? And look, we're doing it. So
yeah,
they have a whole program based around it called the Voice Project, and you can actually see changes being made by what people are saying. So it's great that not only are they listening, but they're actually making a little bit of action and progress with it as well.
Absolutely. Very cool.
So do your parents, Travis, still stay involved in the business?
Yeah, they're on my speed dial. And
yeah, they actually both still serve on the board of directors, and we hold meetings every other week, and go over just where we are, what's new, what do we need to get what decisions need to be made. So they're heavily involved still, and they're retired, but we rely on them, for their input.
It's one of those things, and I'm sure me and Melanie be the same way, that we're so invested, it's family business. It's something that we're so a part of that I can imagine ever really getting out is probably never going to happen, to a degree. We may slow down a little bit one day, but just like them, I still get emails from them, out the blue. I mean, every day pretty much, hey, thought about this and I don't think you're doing that right. And we're like, oh.
To go even further into that is before Travis's grandma passed away, we were still emailing her with things, and through the whole launch of Escapers, we would still meet with her in person and talk about all these ideas. And it just warmed our heart to see how proud she was of the stuff that Travis's parents have still been doing and that we've done. Yeah. So we're very intertwined.
It's always funny though, that I get this answer more than I want, but they're always like, oh, that's sweet. We did that too.
I was kind of like with Escapers. She's like, yeah, you realize that was how the club got started.
That's really cool though, as large as you guys are, that you still have that family ran feeling to it, that it's very much a family business, even though you've expanded so large. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's something that we're all very passionate about, and I think that's our number one priority for me and Mel, is to never let the values of the club change. We always want to remain to be what Joe and Kay visioned and who they were and that personality that they brought to the club, why it became what it is. and kind of what really sets us apart, I think, from a lot of people.
And I have to say that the family isn't just the Carr family, that's involved in that. Is Sean Loring, our CEO, and Teresa Moore, our COO. They're very much part of our family, and they sit on every board meeting. They're board members, and our family grows, and it's only better for that.
And really, all due respect goes out back to the membership who have kept the same philosophies, the caring and sharing attitude that's been ingrained in the club since the beginning. And without people carrying that forward and that concept forward, the club would change. Regardless if we wanted to or not. But so far, and thankfully, everybody who's involved with the club is very, very passionate about kind of who the club is and what we do. And
they wouldn't let us change if we tried.
Yeah,
Do you guys know, numbers-wise, of your members, how many full-timers compared to how many part-timers? Just curious.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I want to say it's about probably 60 to 70% are full-time.
Would you agree with that? I was going to say it's more. Do we have that survey? I was thinking it was around 75 to 80%.
Every time I talk to somebody at an RV park, I'm always shocked that they're full-time. And it seems like the more people I talk to, the more people are actually living this lifestyle. Is that something that you guys are noticing also? Is the full-timing community growing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I think we do get a lot of part-timers like Nerva, and it's great. We're part-timers too. So it's amazing that you see so many people that are like, I just wanted a part-time, but now that I've come to an event and I've seen this community and I've seen what's possible, they're like, I'm going full-time. There's no question about it. And then sometimes a month later, they'll be like, I've got my house for sale and we're packing things up and we're going into the RVs. I definitely think it's an inspiring movement. And that all comes back again to what we were talking about with social media, technology. It's just inspiring other people and planting those seeds. I think once you realize what's out there and what's possible, it's kind of hard to turn it down.
Yeah. I looked at it. I'm actually surprised. It's actually lower than I thought it would be. And this is kind of ballpark, but about 50% are full-time from what we kind of get. We don't collect that information as part of when you sign up for the club. We don't ask those kinds of things. So it's probably about 55%.
I actually have a friend of mine, Bruce, he has a YouTube channel, RV Enthusiast, and he has a great saying that full-time, part-time, anytime is a great time to RV. And I just love that saying because it's so true. RVing.
I love that.
I do love that. Yeah. Does it really matter, right? We all love the passion of RVing. We're really not any different from one another. Some of us do it a little more than others, and we're all in an RV for a reason, right? We enjoy it. We want to travel. We want to see the world. And that's what makes this a cool community.
Yeah.
It's a fun community. Everybody that we've met is always friendly. They're very helpful. They, go out of their way to help. I tell people all the time, if you're not RVing, I think you're missing out on a very good side of people.
I would agree. Somebody was just talking about, and I can't remember who it was just talking about how it's really cool. They feel like the RVing community is what real neighborhoods used to be back in the day, before, and I can't remember who it was. I kind of want to give them credit, but I thought that was a really cool concept. It's maybe, 200 years ago, that is what a small neighborhood was like. It's kind of like the RV community where everybody's helping each other. And, now you don't even know your neighbor most of the time in a house.
Living in a house, yeah. And then, you go to a rally like Annual Bash, everybody's just walking around talking to people. And I always tell people if you have a problem, just walk outside and act confused because somebody's going to come up to you and ask if they can help you. It's no question about it. So.
I tell people the same thing. Step outside your RV and just start to scratch your head and somebody will be over.
Or just start to back up and then you'll have everybody outside watching you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So is there anything that we haven't talked about during the last hour that you guys feel like you want to highlight as part of the Escapees program?
I don't personally. I kind of like just what we've talked about. I think we've covered a lot. There's obviously a lot to look at. So I guess really what I would recommend is if you have more questions, there is a lot more that we could talk about, but it would take us a long time to go through. So check out the websites, escapees.com and escapers.com with an X. See what you like. See if you have questions. We have an awesome member service team who will answer your call. Email them.
Facebook group pages, the Escapers page. We have our business pages.
So feel free to join and ask questions. Get to know the community and see where it leads you.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll put links to as many of those in the show notes as we can find. So everybody can just click on them if they go to our show notes page. Like you said just a few minutes ago, it's the RVing community is like the neighborhood, way back in the 50s. And I think you guys really are providing a lot of the community services that people expect in a neighborhood or a town. So I think that's really great. And it's a good organization. And I know we've benefited from being members. Yeah, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. The amount of stuff that the Escapees do for the RVing community is really incredible.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate that. It means a lot. And I mean, the credit does have to go back to the community again, too, as you know, when you and Julie came out to the annual bash and you spoke, a lot of the heart of what we do is the community giving back to us, too. So we give and you guys give, too, and it's just harmonious.
Yeah, I can't say much better than that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And hopefully we can do this again in the future. As you guys keep growing and adding stuff, I'm sure we could easily do another hour or two talking about the program. So we really appreciate the time that you took today to be with us and chat with us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us on here. We really appreciate it. And anytime.
A big thank you to Travis and Melanie for coming on the show. Escapees has so much to offer its members as well as the RV community in general. Explore their website at escapees.com to see all they have to offer. As always, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to follow Beyond the Wheel on Instagram to see what we are up to.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.